our day-to-day life. Today with us we have the personality, the person, the person, Ms. Pratima Gupta, the Assistant Director of Sunbeam Group of Educational Institution. And I am your host, George Racing.
I'm Meghavi.
And today we are shooting a special podcast based on the biggest festival of democracy, General Election 2024. So, Jai Hind Pratima ma'am.
Thank you, Jai Hind.
Ma'am, before we begin the podcast, I hope you had enjoyed the last podcast we had together.
Yes, it was definitely very stimulating and very, I would say, probing for me also.
Ma'am, and we seek your permission to begin with this one.
Please do, please do.
So, ma'am, beginning with the first question, I would like to ask you, for a person like you who thinks a lot regarding everything which I know. Okay. So, what does democracy mean to you?
I think it is one of the most powerful words ever put into the lexicon. Democracy to me is something which, first of all, ensures the right of an individual, ensures the accountability of an individual, and bestows upon the individual the absolute right to not only think, believe, and act upon what they feel is right for them, but also acknowledges that it is absolutely fine for people to exercise their opinions and their own individual rights. That's democracy.
That was very lovely. So, ma'am, speaking of democracy, I know certain people who tend to celebrate the voting day, election day, as a holiday, and later on complain that the government isn't doing anything for them or for the society itself. What are your opinions on such people?
I see this with disappointment, and I see this with a sense of sadness, because if you turn back the pages of history, democracy was never our privilege. It was never our birthright. We had to fight a long, hard battle for it. Perhaps people haven't had to face as many losses, they haven't had to personally sacrifice anything, or maybe they themselves haven't been oppressed enough to truly appreciate what freedom and what democracy and what exercising your rights in a democracy means. Those who have had democracy given to them as a birthright on a platter, citizens of free India, citizens of independent India, will never understand what it is to actually have a say in the governance of your nation, which is why they do not appreciate that which has been given to them, and therefore they exercise this abject indifference. They refrain from voting, they refrain from the participation in the festival of democracy, and as far as criticism is concerned, well, no one has to give you that particular right. Democracy or no democracy, it is so easy for people to sit and diss and to criticize and to blame. So I find it extremely disappointing, I find it saddening, and if I may say so, it annoys me in extreme.
As we're talking about celebrating the biggest festival of democracy, would you like to share your first experience when you went to ask your vote for the first time?
Well, I will give a very personal example. I was in grade 8 at that point of time, and the school in which I was studying at that then, we had elections in our school, and we had legitimate, like parties were made, and every party had to field their own candidates, everybody had to do their own canvassing, and so I stood for the position of the class representative. We had to have a manifesto, we had a face-off debate also, and during the recess, we were supposed to gather, people were there, of the entire school, students were there, and the parties would have to present their bid and their manifestos. So my first experience of an election was when I was in grade 8, and I had to go from class to class, and I had to tell my juniors and seniors as to why I was a worthy class representative. And believe me, the entire process of putting your thoughts out there, of kind of trying to delve into people's minds, understand with them what do they want, what do they expect, then to tailor your manifesto accordingly, to identify the issues of the school and say this is what we are going to work for, so on and so forth. I found that experience extremely heady, extremely liberating, and at the same time a process in which I became aware of the fact that leadership is more responsibility than privilege. So I view elections in the same fashion. So when I went to cast my first vote, my hands were literally trembling because at that point of time I felt as if I had the power to shape the future of the nation for the next 5 years. And then it is a very overwhelming kind of feeling. So that was my first experience of elections, from moving from a very personal experience to applying it to the nation and understanding the gravity and the dignity of the entire process.
That was something very interesting, and I hope that this process of elections in the school come up with something also.
Why not? We can evolve to it.
Absolutely. And ma'am, there are certain questions which comes up in our mind when we think about elections, politicians in general. People or even the students themselves tend to think politics is something very malicious or something very negative. Ma'am, what's your opinion on that?
See, there are good and bad aspects to everything in life. And I mean literally everything in life. So you cannot just discount any profession, any discipline, any ideology on the basis of hearsay. Neither can you shut your eyes to the reality. In every sphere of human life, there is an element of the good and the bad. There is the element of tainting or corruption. It is always there. But tell me something, if everyone forsakes a particular ideology or forsakes a responsibility, saying that the people here in this particular discipline or in this particular field are corrupt, are greedy, are full of avarice, and they are more black than white, then who is going to take up the responsibility? So for every corrupt person, there is always a way out in terms of policies, in terms of planning, checks and measures. Then for every good person also, there are people who give him or her support and who help them to achieve their targets, their milestones. And more than anything else, I feel it is the public, it is the voice of the common man which allows a bad thing to continue or to put an end to it, holds people, whether they are in power, whether they are in authority, accountable. But to the public, to the voters of the nation, to the citizens of a city, have a collective conscience? Because if this collective conscience is right, it is a force to reckon with. Tyrants have been challenged, dictators have been ousted, the bad, the corrupt have been thrown out, countries have been liberated because of the collective conscience of an ignited mass. So why should we say that politics is bad and people should not join it? On the contrary, the right people should join it. They should fight the forces together and ensure that politics is something which reaches or which helps the country to reach a better height.
Absolutely, ma'am, I agree to your answer. And I also feel if nice people come up, absolutely these corrupt people would be removed, people would understand their importance to the ma'am, moving forward, what are the certain qualities you see in a candidate when you choose them to vote for or anything specific?
See, we can all have our own ideals, and it is impossible in given any statistical entity, of a population. It is absolutely impossible for everyone to find their ideal in one person. Does not happen. You could have the strongest leader, you could have the most iconic leader, and there would be a segment of the populace who would be unhappy for that person. So for me, personal charisma, how the mob responds to you, how the crowds listen to you, oratory skills, these are all very nebulous kind of things. You may or may not have it. What eventually makes you effective as a political candidate is your manifesto. What is your clarity of the thought? What does the nation need? What do the people of whichever state you are contesting from, whichever is the audience you are addressing, what do they want in terms of changes, in terms of reforms, in terms of policies? Do you have a clear vision? Do you have a strategy in place? Not just big words and huge, promises and the bombastic kind of deliveries that you somehow get to hear nowadays, or the rhetoric. Beyond all that, is there a clear plan of progress, of development? Have you strategized how you are going to counter the problems that are being faced by people? How do you perceive the way to alleviate those problems? This is what I see: clarity of thought, conviction, planning, strategizing, and definitely a futuristic, progressive vision. This is what I want in a candidate. Whether they are able to deliver great speeches which move people to tears and to ignite masses and all, in the final analysis, it truly does not matter. You could be a great orator, but if you don't have a plan in place, what am I going to do with your, sound and fury signifying nothing kind of piece?
So, ma'am, that was a fabulous answer. And ma'am, now, like my question is, so ma'am, in today's generation, we are seeing there is a lot of social media and general media, and nowadays the trend is elections. So ma'am, how do you this differentiate between the truth and the rumors?
It's very difficult. If you go by the general prophecies, it is very, very difficult, and in fact, it's very dangerous also to listen to a certain ilk of reporting, I would say, because everyone nowadays is a self-made, astrologer slash predictor, sitting with a crystal ball. In this case, it's a political crystal ball, gazing into it and giving you all kinds of mind-boggling statistics. It is very, very difficult to distinguish between the fake and the real. But what you can do is actually look at the statistics of the voter turnout. What is the percentage of youths that voted? What is the percentage of women that voted? What was a typical, how were the elections in a particular place conducted? Fair or unfair means? What are the ground reports coming from there? And yes, if you want to follow the social media or any other forum, I would say do a complete survey. Don't just listen or subscribe to one. And the moment you see 6, 7, 8 channels of 4, 5, 6 opinions across the board, you will see there are certain features common. There is a certain amount of hype, to the discerning viewer. You can make out where there is overcompensation of figures, where there is an overlay of unnecessary oratory. You can make out that this is compensatory. Where people talk fact, where people talk data, however contrived it may be. Give them 7%, 8%, 10% for faffing. But trends do emerge. And which is why the political predictions, those who have been doing it for years on end, they are more or less accurate. But my call is, again, do not get swayed by opinions. Cull your own thoughts, cull your own convictions, stick to your stances. I think that is more important right now than to simply quote. Gone are the days when we could quote, this newspaper only prints facts. Everyone claims that यही सच है. But सच के इतने आयाम हो गए हैं कि अब सच का भी सच जानना अपने आप में बहुत मुश्किल हो गया है.
Absolutely, ma'am. And in today's generation, see, there are multimedia houses or certainly multiple people who tend to radiate more towards a certain idea and spread positives for them and negatives to others. It is better that to look forward to every news channel or majority, 2-3 of them, and form our opinions. Ma'am, moving with it, ma'am, what tips would you like to give to the first time voters who are watching you?
I would want to tell them, A, you must vote. The first thing to do is you must vote. And the other thing to do is be very, very aware of the formalities that have to be done before that. As in, get your, voter IDs organized, check that your name and everything is correct, so on and so forth. choose a particular time when there aren't too many people there, so that you are not pushed into quickly making a decision and coming out. Choose a suitable time, preferably go in the first half, and the way we have seen the trends happening, it kind of gradually picks up from the mid of the day to sometimes at times to the late afternoons and all. Go in the morning when you have enough time, see the arrangements, be aware of the arrangements, do recap the arrangement, do form an opinion about how was the entire arrangement process done, and were people made comfortable. Also ensure to do your bit while standing in the line, while waiting to cast your vote. Also help out people who are seemingly ignorant of the process. Do that certainly. When you go in, and even before that, do not engage into any heated discussions with people so that your opinion is colored. You cannot be a vacillating person who listens to 20 people standing outside going rah-rah about something, and suddenly you say, oh, maybe they have a sense. When you go there, take your time, sit with your thoughts, be convinced about what you are doing, and then vote for whatever you believe is right by you first, and then is obviously right for the country. Exercise your opinion, but exercise it judicially, impartially. Let it not be a tainted opinion sort of propelled by a mob. So that is what I would tell a first time voter. But be very aware of the manner in which the entire thing is being handled. Have an opinion about that and help out people who seem a little ignorant, who really do not know what to do. I think as a literate, educated person, it is your job also to lend a hand for a smooth functioning of the electoral process.
I think our institution is also doing certain things to it. Like I was talking to Peter, sir, and he informed me about what the walk towards thing which we have come up with. We were having Sankalp Patra during the PPMs, and we were telling parents the importance of their vote. While speaking on importance of people's vote, I see people who say mostly कि हमारे वोट करने से क्या फर्क पड़ेगा. What do you feel that the importance of a single vote is?
यज्ञ में दी गई हर एक आहुति का महत्व है.
Yes, sir.
अगर फर्क नहीं भी पड़ा तो हमें ये तो लगा I contributed somewhere. If it is something for the betterment of the country, if it is something which is important for deciding the future of the country, then I don't think we can shy away from our responsibility. फर्क पड़े या नहीं पड़े, मैंने अपना दायित्व निभाया, मैंने अपना कर्तव्य किया. Isn't that a wonderful thing to come away with? Rather than nothing is going to change, so why should I do it? You never know. You never know, and that is why I say that every vote counts. It counts because it adds to the sum total. It's not about winning or losing. It's about understanding the importance of your entity as a citizen of a democratic nation. Why will you not exercise it? Something goes wrong and you say that somebody is not doing that job right. So then who put that somebody there? Because you did not exercise your vote. Because people like you did not exercise their vote. And therefore a wrong candidate is sitting in the right chair. But if you would have done that, and if your community would have done that, then probably you would have got a better leader. Or at least you would have got a leader wherein you could have walked up to him or her and say that, I put you there, what are you doing with my space? You're not giving me the right things, But if you haven't exercised it, you may as well sit at home.
Absolutely, ma'am.
And not grieve.
Absolutely. And in Hindi we have this saying, कि भूल भूल से ही सागर बनता है. So this is something we need to understand. With this, ma'am, we come up with the end of this podcast. Thank you for being with us again for this one, and I hope you had enjoyed this podcast.
I did. It is so important for everyone to do their bit, and as an independent nation, as one of the largest, strongest democracies in the world, it is my appeal to people: don't shy away from your responsibility towards the continuing of this democracy. If you love your country, you have to participate in every process that determines the progress of your country. Thank you so much for having me here tonight.
Thank you,
Thanks a
ma'am.
lot.
And for the viewers, we will meet in the next podcast.